doing a video on used razors.
Yeah. Let's give them an update on the Sprinklinator and her 35s. We're
Glorious.
yeah, if you guys saw the Lions Den video, you need to check it out. Her crawling over some big rocks. Smoked the belt. Not bad, not horrible. She was in an extreme situation. The Lions Den at Black Mountain's probably the most technical, difficult trail they've got out there.
We still haven't seen another razor do it before.
Yep.
Maybe this weekend somebody went and did it.
Maybe. Labor Day weekend, we stayed home. We just had stuff to do, catch up on some sleep. Got a ride next weekend we're going to go to. Just sounds like a little fun hangout up at Haspen with the Crossroads.
Side-by-side Crossroads.
Side-by-side Crossroads YouTube group.
No, I think they're just Facebook.
Or Facebook. What'd I say? YouTube. I'm sorry, YouTube's on my mind. It's Facebook.
I don't know. I saw it on Facebook.
It's Facebook.
It's a meet and greet.
It's just a meet and greet. They're going to have lots of cool prizes and stuff. But anyway, the update. Oh, Sprinkles. We're come tomorrow. We're going to order some gear reduction for her. And probably for mine too.
She needs it.
She needs it.
She wants it.
We're going to drop this thing 53% in low. And I think it comes out to, what, 26% in high and reverse is what we're going with.
I think is what it is.
So she's going to be a crawling machine here shortly. But we're going to go ahead and get that coming just so we're not buying belts every couple rides or so. But anyway, her belt wasn't bad. My belt was glazed over as hard as this concrete floor. So we got new belts in. The other day, got them cleaned up, washed up, shined up. And then if you notice, in some of our other shop videos, there's something missing over there. So, what is it?
There it is.
There it is. So, while we were building this for put up for sale.
Yes.
And then just through going to the dealer and getting parts and seeing everybody looking on Facebook and stuff for sale razors, looking to buy with used and new inventory being down so low, we thought it might be a good idea just to put together a what you should look for when buying a used UTV side by side, because probably any of them you find aren't going to be as good as this one. They all have their things they need to look for. So obviously just off of this post, or we posted this on the Facebook groups for sale. I texted some people, told some people, and it's got so many new parts on it. I think our Facebook post, said lots of new parts and named a few of them. But as a buyer, especially a first-time buyer, you read an ad for a for sale razor with lots of new parts. My question is, why is there lots of new parts on it? So that's something you want to ask when you go, before you go look at it. This, in our case, this is my old 2014 1000, and took it apart to build a buggy. Ended up buying turbos, and this is just kind of sat in the corner as she was racing her old machete and broke parts. We just grabbed parts from the parts pile and put on hers to keep going. So that's why it's got a lot of new parts, is just new parts replaced parts that we stole off of there. So,
and this, you'll notice, is turbo plastic. These are Sprinkles old plastics.
her old clothes.
Her old clothes. So we didn't think anybody wanted the boring 2014 orange. So they got Sprinkles as blue hand-me-downs, which look nice.
Yep. So obviously, first thing you want to look for is just overall condition. You know, everybody put enough time into them, can clean them up, make them look good. So that just
let's start in the front end.
Start in the front end. All right. So just look for cracks up in here, you know, indications of a rollover, whatever, because this piece I think is fairly expensive for players to replace. And then just make sure that everything looks like it should be where it's at. So it's all right. So yeah, maybe come down here, the front frame section there, it's not beat up. You're gonna look at, possibly come in here and look at the tabs, because these have a tendency to fold back over if you're beating on them a lot. Check conditions of your axle boots. Make sure they're not torn. Check the axle play, which these are tight and stiff. It's a brand new diff. Obviously, if something looks new and shiny, you want to ask why it was why. You know, what was wrong with the diff that's got a brand new diff in it. You know, ours, we just swapped it out, replaced it later. Same thing. Probably the big point up in here is where your power steering rack mounts, and this area in here. You want to look at the welds, see if any powder coat has flaked off or cracks, because basically anything in this section right here is bent. It's very hard to fix. Even our buddy Jeremy up at Nightcrawler Customs, if Jeremy sees that this is messed up, he typically does not repair it. Just too much work, too much precision, and you know, you've got a totaled frame right in there. So just want to look everything over. Anywhere you see welds, you know, you just want to make sure, you know, the powder coat around the welds isn't cracked off or tore up. You know, there's your radiator. You want to make sure your radiator looks good. Especially take your hood off. Just look down in there. A little dirty. Dirt's fine. You know, you don't see any leaks. Look down in front of the radiator here at the front cross member. You're looking for paint chipped off, cracks, to indicate a collision, rollover, whatever. Your wiring, everything should be nice and neat. Make sure, you know, it's got the fluid in the reservoir, if you can see the reservoir. Another thing too is on suspension parts, A-arms, shocks, around the bolt, if you can see like above or side or underneath that bolt, to make it look like it's been moving around, those holes are wallered out, and there's front frame issues. So, you know,
And also check to make sure A-arms just don't look bent. A lot of times you can eyeball it.
Alright, so we're still on the front end. Same thing with the tie rods. Make sure they look straight. Now what you want to do is on your front wheels, just grab the wheel, poke your head in here, and just kind of wiggle them around. If there's any play here or in here, you'll feel it on the steering system. If there's play over on the other side, you'll feel something. You'll just feel a clunk, something loose. Alright, and so this is kind of too, you know, this will check your wheel bearings. Just wiggle it enough not to turn the wheel, but just wiggle it. You're going to feel a wheel bearing bad. Wiggle it up and down, side to side. That's why you check your wheel bearings. Now along to the brakes, you know, obviously you're not really going to pull the wheel off. I guess you can ask the guy if you can, whoever's got it for sale. Touch the rotors as long as you've not been riding it. They're smooth, so you know the pad's never lost its material and the metal got into it. You can kind of see in there, there's still a good gap before you get to the indicator, so it's got good brakes. You know, look in here, just busted up plastic, anything along the fenders, flares, you're looking for the same thing, stuff that it's not sealed up tight or it just looks out of place. So another way is open the door, make sure it doesn't catch. Close the door, make sure it doesn't catch. You know, and you just generalize looking over everything.
Make sure there's no cracks in the floor pan. That's a pretty expensive job to fix, and something you want to keep fixed. A big log or stick come up through there, just makes it easier for it to get through and get to you, get hurt.
Yep. Front cage bungs, you want to make sure they look like they've lined up good. You want to inspect the cage. This is Polaris factory junk cage. If it is any part of it's dented, you know, basically you're gonna have to be replacing a cage on it. So you just want to make sure, again, look at your places where there's welds at. Look at the places where there's welds at. Make sure it's all painted up.
I wasn't paying attention to his pointing.
No. So, you know, what else can you think of inside? Doors open and close effortlessly.
Let's see if the slider seat works.
Slider works. So
And I would check the battery too. See how many unnecessary wires they have everywhere. That way you just know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
See if the battery looks in decent condition. Of course, this one's brand new.
brand new battery, but what she's talking about is if you got a wad of wires here that's just been cut, you know, they've had a lot of stuff on it.
Hard thing with videoing is you get your neighbors mowing in the middle of your video.
Decide that it's the once a month or twice a year that they want to mow.
Yeah.
So obviously you want to get in, you know, flip it on, check your miles and hours and everything.
If you don't know how to do that, most of them have a button, mode button of some sort. That's got 1,299 miles. $141.7 miles.
And another thing to look for too is when you get here to look at your razor you might be buying or side by side, is flip it over to the engine temperature. 89 degrees. We pulled it out of the shop a little bit ago. But if you just showed up at a place and it's, you know, over 150 degrees, they've ran it, they've drove it to make sure everything must be working right, possibly. So that's just another, you know, just a thing to keep in the back of your head.
Should we start her up?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Let's just go around to the back of it. So again, you're visually looking at everything. You know, to the rear, same thing with the front. Just try to wiggle them tires. You'll feel for bearing play. You know, bearings are easy to install if you know how to do it yourself. If you don't know how to do it yourself, don't have the tools, just a driver, not a mechanic, then, you know, wheel bearings are obviously something you have to replace. So front and rear too, you want to make sure your shocks, your threads aren't all gummed up, look like they're boogered up, because you will have to always adjust these suckers down unless you put some aftermarket springs on them, because these springs will sag. So we want to check, just look at everything, you know, check your boots again, inside and out.
Check for leaks, cracks in the
leaks.
transmission.
If an axle seal's leaking, this is going to be caked up, wet looking with a lot of dust. Even after you can't pressure wash that crap off. You'll have a seal here on your snorkel tube. You want to look for leak. You want to grab your drive shaft and just give it a wiggle. It'll have a little bit of slop in it, but not much. So that's good. You always want, you know, sway bar bushings, make sure they look good. If the sway bar's not there, you know, that's maybe a personal choice of, you know, you want to put your sway bar back on. We ride without them.
Another important thing real quick. A lot of people don't know where their VIN number is. Doodaloo, there it is. Rear frame section.
And, good point, your front has a sticker on it that'll have your VIN number. Now, in our case, we took the front frame sticker off because we replaced the front frame clip in this with a 17 turbo, just because my arm tabs were beat to crap and holes were a little wallered out, so we went ahead and done it upright. We had Sprinkle's old front frame section laying around, so we swapped it out, put it in there. But you know, you're looking in the side of the motor, any cracks you can find. You want to check all your seals and stuff. You're just looking for leaks or seeps. You know, front of the engine up here, you got your oil pan. You know, you want to look at all that. And just back up here, you know, your cage bungs, you're just looking for good fitment in there, dings, stuff. The bed is hard, brittle plastic. You just want to make sure no cracks in there. Unless you're fine with it and the price is right, go for it. You know, is any questions you ever have, anybody, while you're looking at stuff? You know, like to me, if I was looking at this RZR, I didn't know why you got a big rusted up exhaust here, and be like, well, why is that when everything else looks so good? That's because this is a 2014, and basically plastics, almost everything else on this is off of 2017, so huge age difference. Nothing wrong with that. You can buy a brand new and it's going to do that. You just can't avoid it. So same thing over on this side. You know, wiggle your wheels and stuff, eyeball everything. You're looking for leaks, checking your CV boots. You got more hoses on this side. You know, can have leaks up in here, which would run down to here if that's wet. Under the motor, got your water pump up front with a bunch of hoses on it. Make sure they're not leaking. You got your oil, check your oil. And this is how to brand new oil change. So you know, oil's clear, oil looks good, it's brand new. If they say that it's had an oil change or just gotten serviced and that oil don't look clear like that, they're lying to you. Which obviously we've forgotten to put the skid plate on, so we need to do that yet. Anything else you can think of, babe? Just make sure everything's all hooked up, secured, and everything looks right.
I think an important thing for me is like knowing what upgraded parts are in something. You know, it's hard to get your machine dialed in right if you don't know what's been done to it. So make sure you ask if something's been upgraded or changed. You know, like in the transmission, there's a gear reduction in this one. You know what gear reduction is it? What clutch kit's in it? Especially if you notice it's not running exactly how you want, or has the power you want, or too much, too little. It's hard to start changing stuff to make it right if you don't know what you got in there.
That's a good point, because almost everybody, in order to entice people to buy their RZR as is, leave all their accessories on there if they can do without them, or they want to start over new. And you know, accessories aren't anything that adds value to it, unless possibly, you know, maybe portals or something, but I don't know anybody that would want portals. But you know, just because it's got a light bar or whips, or you know, we're selling, you know, giving a cooler away with this one. It's just when you judge how much you're wanting to pay for it, is how many of those accessories are something that you would put on for yourself, that you actually want. Just because they say it's got $5,000 worth of accessories on it, don't mean that that's $5,000 worth to you. You know, because if we were buying one that had whips on it, and whips are probably coming off. But that's just us. The accessories on a unit is your personal decision on how much they are valuable to you. So I mean, I think we've covered everything. You just walk around it several times because you're gonna miss something. You know, like right here, somebody was driving me.
Not me.
And leaned into a tree, you know, so scuffed up some of the plastic, but you're gonna have that. Nothing you can do about it. You know, I think we would be ready to the point where we're ready to fire it up and take it for a drive.
Let's do it.
You don't want to drive?
No, because we're trying to sell it as I haven't driven it.
Yeah, that's a big selling fact. That she's laughing about it, but that's true. Is
who drove it?
Is who drove it? You know, you see it for sale on Facebook, or you know, stalk somebody on Facebook to see what their driving habits are. You know, you can tell by somebody's Facebook by pictures. You can recognize the vehicle they're trying to sell you, and see what they've gotten into with it. So, you know, get in there, hop in it. We'll start it up.
She purrs like a kitten.
Purrs like a kitten. So, if it's not already, you want to set your display to engine temperature. You don't want to buy anything that heats up super quick is bad. It doesn't cool off as bad. There's, you know, coolant issue, head gasket issue.
You want to hear if the fan kicks on.
You want to pay attention to the fan kicks on. You want to make sure four-wheel drive works. So, man, I don't want to. We just spent a long time cleaning this up.
Just take it up the driveway.
So, smooth engagement. It was easy to shift. You know, pedal, I mean, the steering wheel is good. Steering rack's good. So, switch in to low. It's instant.
Hi, Sprinkles.
On the road, drive it. If they got a little bit of land you can drive on, just drive it, get a feel for it. Listen for clunks, noises, squeals, howls, farts, anything that don't sound right. You know, like I think I just heard something. I think it was Amber farting. I ain't sure yet. So, you know, let it get warmed up a little bit. It feels good. Yep. We'll get it
My
later.
poor hat. I wasn't expecting grips.
You can really tell this thing, we've got gear reduction in it like you said, so, you know, the top end speed's kind of limited. So look, we got it up. We ripped on it just a minute. You know, it's 158 and it's been sitting there. So, you know, we not got any cooling issues or anything with it. So, all right, that was low. You put it in high. Try high out. get a sense of pride too when you accessorize your own stuff.
Yes.
So, you know, there are good units, used units out there. There's bad used units out there. This is a good unit. Plenty of other good units out there. You know, just trying to figure we try to help some people out before they go drop $10,000-$12,000 on a used side by side. Just some things to look for. You know, I bought used. My very first Razor 800 4-seater was used, and I think I was the third owner on it, but it'd been taken care of. It did really good until I wanted more horsepowers. So don't be scared to buy a used unit. What do you have to say? So we appreciate all the views and all the subscribers we've gotten here lately. Keep it up. You know, you guys motivate us to keep getting out and filming stuff. So might be boring informational stuff like this, might be Amber going through something like the Lion's Den or worse. Just sharing what we know.
And Ice Cube's a pimp.
Yeah. So thank you for the subscriptions, thank you for the views. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Yes.
Think about subscribing. Everybody shares stuff, content.
Have questions, hit us up.
Yep,
We'll try to help you.
try to. Alrighty.
Like and subscribe.